The story begins in the 1950s with a 7-year-old boy named Cody dreaming of a mysterious, haunting lake. He wakes to the sound of his mother, Laura, calling him. They're heading west, starting a new chapter of their lives with a move to California. Upon arriving at their isolated lakeside house, they're greeted by a man named Langtree, who gives Laura the keys and kindly offers help if she ever needs anything. His wife, Lenora, on the other hand, is cold and unwelcoming. After they leave, Laura walks through the house, trying to get Cody excited about their new home. But the boy's attention is soon caught by the window in his room. Just beyond it lies a vast, shimmering lake. The next day, Laura tells Cody to play outside. But their house is completely alone, surrounded by nothing but nature for miles. When Laura checks on him, she finds that he's wandered off. She discovers him standing silently by the edge of the lake, staring at the water as if in a trance. A soft, melodic voice, the same one from his dreams, seems to be calling his name. That night, while Laura rests on the sofa, an old TV flickers through cheerful commercials for Hot Point appliances. The phone rings, but Laura doesn't answer. She just silences the sound. A horror film begins to play on the screen. In it, a woman is attacked by a monster near a lake. Laura slowly falls asleep and begins to dream. In her nightmare, she is the woman being attacked, but the dream shifts and the face of a mysterious woman appears, whispering, "Don't be afraid." Laura jolts awake to Cody's screams. Rushing upstairs, she finds him terrified. He swears he saw a monster outside his window. Laura dismisses it as a bad dream, telling him that he's just scared from the storm. She admits that she had a nightmare too, and promises they're safe. When he begs her to leave the door open, she agrees, then turns off the lights. Later that night, she tries to call Dr. Weaver, but his secretary says he's unavailable. Laura decides not to leave a message. Instead, she reaches under her bed and pulls out a hidden box of liquor. The next morning, Laura drops Cody off at school and reminds him to treat others how he wants to be treated. It's her first day, too, at a new job as a typist. She decorates her desk with a photo of her son. That evening, Cody isn't talkative. He hasn't made any friends, and during dinner, he refuses to eat. The phone rings again, but Laura doesn't answer it. She keeps her fear to herself and reads him a bedtime story instead. Later, the phone rings again, but the TV shuts off on its own and won't turn back on. When she notices a new, jagged tear in the sofa, her fear deepens. A faucet begins to drip in rhythm, and the phone rings again. This time it's her mother, Elizabeth. Laura immediately accuses her of giving her abusive husband, Scott, the new number. Elizabeth denies it, insisting she only told close friends. Laura snaps. She had demanded complete secrecy. She reminds her mother that Scott should be dead to both of them, that her grandmother would have understood and taken her side. Elizabeth tries to explain, saying Scott only wants to talk, that he regrets everything, and offers to visit. But Laura refuses, says she doesn't need anyone, and hangs up. Upstairs, Cody hears the voice again. He's drawn to the window, where he sees an eerie glow floating above the lake's surface. He doesn't notice the dark liquid slowly creeping into the room until it reaches him. The door slams shut, and he screams. Laura rushes to him again, thinking it's another nightmare. But as they argue, the black liquid vanishes, shifting between a smoky vapor and fluid, sliding out of sight. Later, Laura loses an earring under her dresser. When she reaches for it, she discovers the floor is coated with fluffy, sofa-colored fuzz. Overwhelmed, she hides beneath a blanket, something she used to do as a little girl. Her only comfort back then was her grandmother Lucinda, who always told her stories to distract her from life's cruelties. The next day, Laura finally manages to speak with Dr. Weaver. She tells him that Scott is trying to reach her. He asks if she's had more nightmares. She says yes, and begs for a prescription so she can go back on her medication. Dr. Weaver suggests she schedule an appointment, but when he asks where she lives now, Laura suddenly hesitates. Sharing her new address could be dangerous. She quickly changes the subject and ends the call. She visits Langtree about the dripping sink and mentions that the TV no longer works. Langtree politely offers to take a look. That night, Laura attempts to unclog the sink as the lights begin to flicker. Meanwhile, Cody is drawn to the window once again, eyes wide with fear as he sees something enormous rising from the lake. He dives under his blanket, terrified. Outside, Laura hears a dog barking. She walks into the yard, unaware that a figure is climbing onto the roof, heading straight for Cody's window. Inside, Cody listens as footsteps creak across the tiles. The black substance begins to seep into his room, slowly taking on a human-like shape. Frozen in terror, he screams as the dark figure wraps its arms around him in a monstrous embrace. Hearing the scream, Laura rushes back, but the door won't open. Desperate, she grabs a shovel and shatters the window, climbing inside just as Cody's screams are silenced. Reaching the hallway, she finds him standing there, pale and shaken. His voice is calm, but empty. "I want to go home." The next day, Laura tries to explain what happened to Langtree, but Lenora cuts her off, coldly blaming Cody for playing too close to the lake. She even refuses to pay for the broken window. That afternoon, Laura picks Cody up from school. He's still quiet, distant. Wanting to lift his spirits, she takes him to the park and encourages him to play with the other children, hoping, for once, he might feel like a normal kid again. Cody didn't want to play, but Laura gently insisted. Reluctantly, he walked up to a boy playing alone. Just as he reached out to say hello, Laura was distracted by a passing horn and missed the moment. The other boy immediately ran away, hiding behind a tree. Crushed, Cody returned to his mother and begged to leave the park. That night, Laura decided to be more honest with him. She told Cody they couldn't go back home, not because she didn't want to, but because she was afraid. She didn't want Scott to hurt them again. But Cody replied quietly, "I forgive what Dad did." Then he showed her a strange drawing, himself, hand in hand with a shadowy figure. He called her the Lady of the Lake. He said the lady visited him the night the door broke. At first, he thought she was a monster, but now she was his friend. He even asked Laura to come meet her too. Laura, frightened, refused. Cody nodded with a knowing look. "Then she'll come to you." Later that night, he smiled at the soft glow dancing on the surface of the lake. Inside, Laura sat sewing the ripped sofa, unaware of the tall, dripping creature looming silently behind her. When the phone rang, she turned for just a second and Laura screamed and suddenly found herself submerged, falling deep into the lake. She burst back into her living room, soaking wet, as if the nightmare had become real. Cody watched, emotionless. "Did you talk to the Lady of the Lake?" he asked softly. Laura didn't respond. In the days that followed, Laura tried to pretend nothing was happening. But the signs were everywhere. One night, Cody screamed with such force that it threw her across the room, without touching her. The magazines around her grew thick with mold, then reverted to normal. The pain in her body returned, sharp and sudden. When the invitations were ready, Cody simply said no one would come. He didn't care. The Lady of the Lake promised to take him home. That statement chilled Laura. That night, the lights flickered again. Laura panicked and told Cody to hide, but he calmly told her it was okay. The shadow was already at the door. Laura rushed for a knife, only to find the door wide open. Cody had vanished. She searched frantically and found him in the hallway, pointing at something behind her. Turning slowly, Laura came face to face with the Lady of the Lake. Laura fought back, stabbing the creature to escape. It struck her in return, sending her tumbling down the stairs and knocking her out cold. She awoke moments later and dragged Cody to the car. When he asked if they were going home, she snapped. But the car wouldn't start. Frustrated and exhausted, she collapsed. Cody, feeling sorry for her, whispered that the lady wouldn't scare her anymore. They spent the night in the car. The next day, Laura tried everything, even calling a local church, asking for Sister Agnes. But as soon as she mentioned a demon, the woman hung up. When she pressed Lenora about the house's history, the landlady threatened to call the police and take custody of Cody. With nowhere to turn, Laura focused on Cody's party. She decorated the entire house. But as expected, no one came. That night, Scott called again. Laura lost it, screaming that he would never see Cody again. As she hung up, she noticed something was wrong again. The living room furniture appeared to be melting. The stabbing pain returned. Then, silence. Later, while cleaning, she accidentally knocked over Cody's suitcase and found the untouched invitations. Furious, she confronted him. Cody, scared, hid under the bed, but Laura's anger didn't stop. He shouted that no one would come because he wasn't like the other kids. Then suddenly, he couldn't breathe. Panicking, Laura begged him to forgive her. The next time she picked him up from school, girls pointed at him and ran to a teacher. Laura feared the worst. But Cody insisted he hadn't done anything. She decided to wait for the principal to explain. At home, things got worse. She caught Lenora snooping around the house. A heated argument followed. Lenora accused Laura of being unstable and demanded she leave the property within 30 days. Alone again, Laura turned to the only comfort she had left, alcohol. The stabbing pain returned. From the window, she saw Cody walking toward the lake in his pajamas. She ran outside just in time to see the tentacles rise and pull him under. Without thinking, she dove in after him, dragging him back to the surface. After that night, Laura could no longer deny the truth. She began drinking during the day. Her boss noticed. Her work slipped. When he finally confronted her, she snapped, unleashing all her pain, even admitting the truth about the monster. He was surprisingly calm. He saw this as a psychological crisis. But Laura wasn't interested in therapy. She quit on the spot. From there, she stumbled into a bar, where a kind man asked her to dance. As they moved slowly to the music, she cried. For a moment, she felt human again. But that moment passed. Later, she went to Cody's school, but he was gone. None of the other kids knew anything. Panic set in. She rushed to the police station, certain Scott had kidnapped him. Detective Barb Schiff was there. She calmly told Laura that Scott didn't have Cody. Then she asked about a different incident, one that happened in Arizona. Laura hesitated, then told the story. She had gone to the market, leaving Cody with Scott. When she returned, Cody had fallen into the pool. Scott hadn't noticed, he was watching the game. But she saved him. The paramedics revived him. Everything was fine, right? Then Barb asked if she remembered anything else. Suddenly, Laura heard a ringtone coming from her purse. It was her phone. And on the screen, a call from her mother. Confused, she asked for water and left the room. But when she stepped outside, the world had changed. The police station was old and decaying. Her car looked like it hadn't moved in years. Driving back home, she saw everything falling apart as if it had been abandoned long ago. At home, she heard Cody singing again. She ran to the kitchen and found him drawing. "It's time to go home," he said. But Laura refused. She begged him to pack, to start over somewhere new, to forget all this. Cody tried to walk away. Laura wouldn't let him. In desperation, she pushed him to the floor. That's when everything changed. Cody's power surged. Dishes flew. Furniture shattered. Then the tentacles returned, rising from the shadows and dragging Laura under. She was pulled once more to the bottom of the lake, face to face with the Lady of the Lake. But this time, she saw through the monster. With all her strength, she broke free and swam back to her son. Back home, she held Cody close. He cried, saying he wanted to stay with the lady. Laura begged him not to say that. But he smiled gently and told her it was okay. That what happened at the pool wasn't her fault. She broke down, hugging him tightly. Then, for the first time, the Lady of the Lake appeared not as a monster, but as Lucinda, Laura's grandmother. The same one who had comforted her as a child. The one who told her stories to help her forget the pain. Everything made sense now. After Cody drowned a year ago, because of Scott's neglect, Laura's mind had escaped into the past. To the 1950s. To protect itself. To protect her. But now it was time to let go. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.